Hello guys, this is Fall here, and this is my first World of Warcraft class guide on YouTube, and I hope this video will be knowledgeable enough to actually show you what you need to know about Holy Paladins in both Raids and Mythic Plus. Enjoy! So what is Holy Paladin? Holy Paladin is an excellent tank healer, both in Raids and Mythic Plus, with Beacon of Light being your best single target healing tool, and blessed with a bunch of useful spells to help you and your party survive awkward situations. Holy Paladin is also known as the ultimate DPS machine, when it comes to the healers category. What are the strengths and weaknesses of Holy Paladins? It's really strong at single target healing with Beacon of Light. Doesn't face constant mana issues like other healers in both Raids and Mythic Plus. Have many utility tools such as Bob, Blessing of Protection, and Buff, Blessing of Freedom. And finally, a really strong and unique survivability with both Divine Protection and Divine Shield. A really strong damage output and can keep up with other DPS sometimes if the player is a Venthyr gamer. And what about the weaknesses? It's really struggling with AoE healing and mobility. Talents. Level 15 talents. Always Crusader's Might because it will allow your Crusader Strike to reduce the cooldown of Holy Shock by 1.5 seconds. Bestow Faith if you are doing Sun King's Salvation in Castle Nathria, and I highly recommend checking Ellis Mear's Sun King's guide to know more about Holy Paladins in that fight. Light's Hammer. Not really worth it in any scenario, except maybe in casual solo content such as farm and legacy content, etc. Level 25 talents. Judgment of Light. It's your best option here since Judgment applies a debuff on your target that will heal you for 125 HP every time you attack the target. Holy Prism. It consumes your mana and it's not worth comparing it to Judgment of Light since it has 20-second cooldown and it's not recommended to add it to your rotation. Saved by Light. It's the last thing you should consider picking in this talent row unless your tank asks for it in some raid fights. Level 30 talents. It's personal preference, but I recommend using Blinding Light in Mythic Plus and Repentance in Raids. Fist of Justice is also fine. Level 35 talents. Rule of Law for Raids since it buffs your Master Lightbringer passive, which allows you to do bigger heals and save more people. And for Mythic Plus, it's personal preference. But I highly recommend Unbreakable Spirit for Mythic Plus because of the amount of cooldown reduction it provides on your Divine Shield, and Divine Protection, and Lay on Hands. Cavalier if you are suffering with mobility. Level 40 talents. Divine Purpose for Raids and Mythic Plus, since it synergizes really well with the level 45 talents. Awakening, and also causes your Holy Power spending abilities to have 15% chance to make your next Holy Power spending ability free and deal 20% increased damage and healing. Holy Avenger provides 3-minute cooldown that triples all Holy Power generations for its 20-second duration. Highly recommended if you wanna go big tick DPS with your Ashen Hollow, of course if you're a Venthyr. Seraphim not really worth picking over the previous two talents. Level 45 talents. Sanctified Wrath increases the duration of Avenging Wrath by 25% and reduces the cooldown of Holy Shock by 50%, while Avenging Wrath is active. It's really good for high keys, and the Beacon of Virtue plus Holy Avenger build as a Venthyr in Mythic Plus, but in Raids it's really not worth picking over Awakening. Avenging Crusader is a 2-minute cooldown, with a 20-second duration that replaces Avenging Wrath. When Avenging Crusader is active, your Judgment and Crusader Strike have their cooldowns reduced by 30%, and any damage you deal with them will heal 3 injured allies for 250% of the damage dealt. It's not worth picking over Sanctified Wrath and Awakening, in both Mythic Plus and Raid scenarios. Awakening gives Light of Dawn and Word of Glory a 15% chance to trigger the Avenging Wrath buff for 10 seconds. If Avenging Wrath is already active, the duration will be extended by 10 seconds. This talent is really good, and should really consider your way to go to all kind of content you're doing. Level 50 talents. Glimmer of Light for Raids and Mythic Plus. Beacon of Faith for maybe some fights in Castle Nathria if tanks are getting heavily obliterated and you don't have another Holy Paladin in the raid to provide another beacon for the second tank. Beacon of Virtue in Mythic Plus if you are suffering with AoE healing, but you will sacrifice your Beacon of Light, which means less tank healing, but more AoE group healing, especially if you are running a Kyrian, because if you combine Beacon of Virtue with Divine Toll, you will basically lay on hands on everybody in the party. Now for the stats. In Raids, I tend to roll with Haste and Mastery for strong and rage healing because of Lightbringer Mastery passive, and Haste great for Mythic Plus for more damage and healing, but you should always prioritize higher item level because Intellect is better. Legendaries. Chuck Barrier for healing both Raids and Mythic Plus, and it's really good with Divine Toll. Mad Paragon for DPS in both Raids and Mythic Plus, and it's really good with Ashen Hollow. Covenant. Kyrian for both Raids and Dungeons. It provides the best healing output since it gives you Divine Toll, which is a really good and amazing AoE healing spell. and can save a lot of plebs from dying, especially if combined with Beacon of Virtue in dungeons, and synergizes really well with Shockfire Legendary. Venthyr for bigger damage output, in both raids and dungeons, but it's a 4-minute cooldown, so you gotta practice it really well, and use your cooldowns around it, so you can get the best out of it, and it's your way to go if you wanna beat that fire mage in your party who's bragging with his DPS 24/7 on bosses. But be careful, it's not recommended for new holy paladins in the game, it's definitely newbie punishing. Well, for the tips, if you are new to Holy Paladin, don't worry, it's not that hard and it's not that easy. We all learn, we take time to adapt, and we are gamers. Take your time to practice the spec, focus on keeping people alive, and don't care about the damage or healing meters. They are basically your worst enemy. Just focus on keeping people alive no matter what. Use your utility tools to the fullest. Study the fights and manage your cooldowns around them, and ask pro Holy Paladins for guidance, so you can learn from them and reach their level of experience. And always remember, practice makes wonders. Also, it's not always your mistake. Sometimes it's their mistake and it's not yours. Well guys, thanks for watching this video, stay tuned for more videos and I hope you're having a nice day.